guys, it's Caitlin. I thought for today I would follow up on my last video, which was the intro to my inventory and my purchases from the end of last year. I know I spoke briefly in that video about my eyeshadow palettes, and I thought that for today I'd follow up with all of the palettes that I bought last year. So at the start of last year I had, I think, maybe 5 or 6 palettes. I'd say it's most likely 6 because I think I did pass along one, and I know that I got rid of a lot of older single eyeshadows that had expired. So there were quite a few palettes that I did buy last year. I wasn't quite sure exactly how many until I sat down to count them out today and figure out what I had bought when. And given that I'm doing a bit of a panning challenge this year and a no buy for the start of this year, I think it's definitely something that even if towards the end of the year I do switch to a low buy, I don't need any more eyeshadow palettes anyway. There are a couple that I do like the looks of, but I don't think that I need any. Well, I know I don't need any. I don't think that there'll be any that I do end up buying this year. I've quickly added it up, and last year I did buy 7. So I'm going to go from the start of the year till the end of the year and talk my way through all of them. So the first one that I did buy was the It's a Princess Thing palette, the Colourpop Disney Princess Collection. I had bought one of the collections, I think it was the Belle collection, with the Super Shock Shadow, the lip gloss and the lipstick before. But the eyeshadow palette I bought as a birthday present to myself in April. And I love the colours. It's got some beautiful pinks in here and some golds, a couple of browns. The pinks are a little bit darker as well, so these two down the bottom, I just absolutely love those. And I'm definitely very happy that I did buy that. I was looking at it for a long time beforehand, and it's definitely something that I have gotten some use out of. I've managed to create quite a few different looks out of that already, and it is actually one of my special occasion palettes that I do try and save for special events. It was a while. I was still waiting for that one to arrive, so I ordered that one. I was waiting for it to arrive. I actually found the next one, which has a lot of the same or similar colours, but this was a little bit more budget friendly for the size. So I know that Colourpop palettes are extremely cheap for the quality. Well, not necessarily cheap, but definitely worth the value. I have found though that living in Australia, the conversion rate and after shipping, it can get a little expensive. So when I place a Colourpop order, I always do try and get the value for my money, get the free shipping if I can. But the next palette that I did buy, which I'm pretty sure, I can't find the exact date of this. I'm not sure why it's not letting me see my purchase history past the last 6 months. But it is the Revolution Big Big Love palette, which I do love these as well. I'll open it so we don't get that god-awful glare. I have found it does have a lot of the same shades, so, well, not the same shades, but similar in tone. You know, it's got a few of the browns, it's got a lot of the pinks and the darker pinky colours. It's got a fair few golds in there as well. I am able to create similar looks as well, and the look I am wearing today is actually from this palette with these 2 shades up here and this yellow down here. I do love this one. I think that this is a very good palette worth you know, definitely worth your while for everyday looks. I can create a lot of everyday looks from this. This is the kind where, you know, whenever I'm going to work in the office, I wear this, particularly when I want a more colourful look, although I can get a lot of neutral looks out that one as well. I have definitely loved having that one here as well, same as the Colourpop palette. Actually, I think every single palette that I talk about today, I do love having. I don't regret buying any of them. There are a couple that I have wanted for quite a while. One of them is my next palette, which I bought 2 more from Colourpop on the 9th of September. The first one I have wanted for a good year or so now, and it's the Give It To Me Straight palette. So I have found, same as with the Princess palette and the Big Big Love palette, it has the beautiful brownie neutral colours. I absolutely love this shade here. Which one is that? Be Blunt. So Be Blunt and Forthright. They were the 2 shades that made me want to buy this palette, because I couldn't find anything in what I own that was similar to those shades, even though the Colourpop palette does have a couple that, the Princess palette does have a couple that are fairly similar. So I know that this one down here, which is Enchanted Rose, is a little similar to a couple of them in there. They're not the exact same. This one I had wanted for quite a while. It was the, you know, one that I should have bought when I got the Disney Princess one, but I thought no, one palette will be enough. And I found that the shades, the tones, I just absolutely loved it. They're my kind of colours, so much so that the other palette that I bought on the same day, it was the Femme Rosa She palette. I have found that the shades are similar. They're not exactly the same. But with this one, I have loved these 2 shades in the middle. So we have the Gal and Empress. I am also a big fan of Ladylike Babe and Mademoiselle. I definitely have loved having these palettes. I find that although the looks are fairly similar, I think that's maybe just because I'm a little bit unsure about creating different bolder looks. I do find I do tend to stick to the same looks, the same type of looks, using the same colors all the time, which I should branch out. I should do a little bit more, which was why when I saw the next palette, I thought, yep, I'm gonna do that. And once again, this was one of the purchases that I made while I was waiting for my Colourpop order to arrive, and it's the Jaclyn Hill palette. This one I had bought right after Morphe had launched in Mecca stores. So there is a Mecca that's about 25 minutes away from me. And when I saw them, I'd been seeing this palette online for a couple of years, and I just thought, you know, it's not my kind of thing. Looking at all the photos of it and looking at the videos using it, I did find that with the videos and all the clips I've seen online with swatches, that it did seem to be a lot different to how it is in the press photos for this and all of the photos that I've seen online. And when I saw it in store, I immediately saw this shade here and these 3 up the top, which I just had to swatch. So that is Obsessed down here, and the shades Faint, Sissy and Little Lady. And when I swatched them, I knew that they were my kind of shades. They're everything that I love. I don't think I had anything similar to these 3 shades in my collection, so they're very neutrally but very pink at the same time. And all of the other palettes that I have, let me just show you, all of the neutral shades are still very neutral and white, and it's all good, and light. So those ones were just absolutely beautiful. I also know for a fact I didn't have any greens, blues or purples in any of the palettes that I own. because all of the singles that I'd had of those colours I did have to get rid of. When I'd taken the pans out of my Z palette that I had, they were all rusty on the back, and I didn't want to be using any eyeshadows that there was a chance of there being rust in the pan itself. Those ones were all really old. I'm talking like 8-10 years old, so I did need to get rid of them. They just weren't working well. And this palette I was always very iffy about. I mean, there are a lot of warm shades and a lot of brown shades, which when I looked in my collection, I do have some brown shades in there, but I don't have a lot of warmer tones, which because they never really look very good on my skin. I find that whenever I wear yellows and some oranges and just the warmer browns like they are here, it does tend to make me look a little bit sick. But I found I have managed to work with a few, you know, a few looks. Like I think the last video that I put up, I was wearing a bit of a red eye look, and that was the Jaclyn Hill palette. The ones from this seem to go fairly well with my skin, which I am thankful for. So I definitely don't regret buying it. I look at it, I'm like, oh, it was a little bit expensive, but it is the biggest palette that I do own. I think aside from the Revolution Maxi Reloaded, which I think that one has 45 shadows. So I have added a couple of big palettes into everything that I own last year, and I'm fine with that because it just gives me more options. So the last two items and are things that I've mentioned in my last video as well. So they were recent purchases. So we have the Colourpop Bare Necessities palette and the Tartiste Pro to go. The Bare Necessities I did buy around the 13th of December, and I love it for the size. I love it for all the different shades and tones and just all the different colours. I have found that it's the same as with the Jaclyn Hill palette, that the photos I was seeing that Colourpop have been posting and that everyone has been posting, they do seem to be a lot different in person and in videos as well. So you can see that, you know, there are a lot of lighter, cooler shades up here, but this whole row looks almost purple, and there's some gorgeous browns in here and a gold, and you know, these ones down the bottom, they are brown, but they do have a little bit of like a green look to them as well. And I saw online somewhere, I think it was on Instagram, someone posted just photos of squaring off 9 of the shades all together, and they did the top, bottom and side to side 9, like to make their own like little 9 pan palettes. And I absolutely loved it. I hadn't really been interested in it until I saw that photo, and I thought, wow, when you look at it individually, these 9 colors here are gorgeous, and even these 9 here, so from 3 down up around there, they're all absolutely gorgeous. I've put together one look with this already, and I absolutely freaking loved it. I think that this will definitely be one of my favorites to use this year, along with my Tarte Pro to go palette, which this one, as I mentioned, I have been wanting for so long. And oh my god, I noticed it the first time I opened it, it smells beautiful. Like it smells absolutely gorgeous. I'm sorry, it's going to be really difficult to show this one off because the lights keep reflecting in the background of it. But this shade here is just absolutely beautiful. I mean, that's the shade I love. And I know that I have doubled up on this one quite a fair bit because a very similar shade is also in the Princess palette, as well as the Give It To Me Straight palette, which I think this one is a little bit different. But, you know, they're all just my kind of colours. I absolutely love them. So this one's from the She palette as well. And they're the kinds of colours that I just adore. And I know that having all of these palettes together, I think even, you know, trying to go for a darker look, I could make something absolutely gorgeous with something out of every single one of those palettes. you know, make an eye look just with those 4 colours there, and it would be stunning. So I absolutely love every single one of these palettes. A few of them I have wanted for quite a while. A couple of them were kind of just, oh, that looks beautiful, it's got my kind of colours, let's just buy it. Which is why I won't be buying any more palettes this year. One thing I did notice when I was working out when I had bought them and, you know, in which order, was that I always seem to buy a Colourpop palette and then while it's arriving I find another one that I love, which I'm not saying is a bad thing. So I ordered the A Princess thing, and while I was waiting for that to arrive, I ordered Big Big Love. I ordered the She palette and the Give It To Me Straight palette, and while I was waiting for that to arrive I got the Jaclyn Hill. I ordered the Bare Necessities palette, and while I was waiting for that one I bought the Tarte Pro To Go. So maybe Colourpop should look at coming to Australia. That would be great. That way we don't have to wait for things to arrive and get sidetracked and forget we've got things ordered. I have noticed as well, I also tended to buy palettes in 2s. So at least within a few weeks of each other, so 2s or 3s. Which is definitely a bad habit. One that I will be breaking this year. And I think at this stage there is really only one other palette at the moment that I'm absolutely dying to get my hands on, and it's a BYOP from Colourpop. And it's a bit disappointing, but I have been putting it off and putting it off and putting it off for so long just because there aren't enough of the colours that I'm absolutely dying for. I have enough in my wish list to build a large palette, but there are a few of the shades that I know I have similar ones, and particularly now that I've picked this one up, like there's so many light shades in the Jaclyn Hill palette and so many light shades in these 2 palettes that with the number of light palettes that I've picked up from, the number of light shades that I've got in all of my palettes and the number of light shades I've liked and added to my, you know, wish list in Colourpop, I don't think I need that many. What I really want is some blues and greens. I know that they have a few on there at the moment, but it's like 2 of each, 2 matte greens, 2 shimmer greens, 2 matte blues, 2 shimmer blues. I'm like, give us some more options. There are heaps of browns, heaps of yellows and pinks and nude colours. You know, give us as many nudes as you have, give us that many shades of blues and greens and just the options. Like I know they have their 9-pan palettes, which I'm very tempted by the blue one and the purple one actually as well, the lilac palette. I was very shocked that I did like that, but it would be nice to have the option just to choose a few more instead of having to choose a 9-pan palette. So it has my options for the BYOP have been on my wish list for probably a year or so now as well. I don't think that I will be buying it anytime soon until I have more options for other colours that I would like that I don't already have within all of the palettes that I have at the moment. So my plans for this year, aside from doing a no buy and trying to pan as many things that I can and reduce how much makeup I own, is to also get more use out of the palettes that I have. So I know there are a lot of people out there that they're just, yeah, palettes, 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 but how do I use all of the palettes that I have? You know, show me some looks that I can do. And a lot of the tutorials and videos that I see online is people showing different looks. But you don't necessarily need to go and buy that palette to create that look. I'm sure if you have a look in everything that you have plenty of the similar colours. I mean, they might be spread out over a few different palettes, but I'm sure you could recreate the same or a very similar look with what you already have, which is my plan for this year. I am going to try and focus more on creating different looks and using what I already have. So if you do have any videos yourself that you've shown, or you have seen anyone else do any videos with all of these palettes. You know, feel free to comment down below. Let me know, you know, if you have a channel where you have all these same palettes as well, or you have similar ones and you've created some amazing looks with this. I would love to see them. I would honestly love some inspiration at the moment. I think that's one thing I am desperate for, is I just want to get out of my comfort zone and get more use out of what I have, and love what I have a little bit more. So any tips, any comments, any questions, please feel free to comment below. I know I've kept you long enough as it is, so I won't keep you any longer. But if you do have any advice, like, comment, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.